Let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the common, everyday products that are legally allowed to poison you, slowly. And no, this isn't some wild conspiracy theory. It's written right on the labels if you know where to look.
Just let that sink in for a second. That seal of approval you've been taught to trust your entire life, it's not the shield you think it is. It's really just a compromise, a calculation where corporate profits are weighed against, well, you.
So that's the big question, right? If the system isn't built just to protect you, what's actually slipping through the cracks? What's ending up in your shopping cart, in your cabinets, and ultimately inside your body? Okay, we're going to start with the stuff you physically handle every single day. These are the threats that can get into your system, not from what you eat or drank, but just from the simple act of touching them. Yep, that flimsy piece of paper. You get one every time you buy groceries or gas or a coffee. You probably have a few crumpled up in your car right now. It seems totally harmless, right? Well, it's basically a chemical delivery system. So here's how it works. That powdery coating on the receipt is loaded with a chemical called BPA. Now, what makes BPA so dangerous is that it's an endocrine disruptor. It gets through your skin in just a few seconds, and once inside, it perfectly mimics the hormone estrogen. Your body literally can't tell the difference. So this imposter chemical starts sending out all the wrong signals, throwing your entire hormonal system into chaos.
And this isn't some small problem. The price for all that hormonal chaos is incredibly high. We're talking links to really serious health issues, major fertility problems for both men and women, metabolic disorders like obesity, and even certain types of cancer that are fueled by hormonal signals.
And it is not just receipts. Let's head into the bathroom. You see that antibacterial soap? It often contains triclosan. This stuff doesn't just kill a few bad germs. It absolutely nukes your body's good bacteria, your microbiome, and, ironically, helps create antibiotic-resistant superbugs. And on the other side, you've got phthalates. They're in everything from plastics to cosmetics to make things flexible or make scents last longer. The catch? They are powerful hormone disruptors known for wrecking reproductive health. And how about your morning routine? That antiperspirant you use. The aluminum in it is literally designed to be absorbed into your skin to block sweat. But where does it go after that? Well, it builds up in the nearby breast tissue, right next to your lymph nodes, and it has even been found to accumulate in the brain. And yeah, there are persistent, nagging questions about its links to Alzheimer's and breast cancer.
Now let's talk about the threats that are even sneakier, the ones you can't see, the poisons that are just floating in the air, hiding in your furniture, and even in the pans you use to cook your food.
Come on, who doesn't love a non-stick pan? It makes cooking an egg a breeze, cleanup is amazing. But that convenience, it comes at a steep chemical price that most of us never even think about. You see, that non-stick surface is made with a class of chemicals called PFAS. They have a nickname, forever chemicals, and it's for a truly terrifying reason. They don't break down, ever. Not in the environment and not in your body. So every time you're exposed, from your pan, your pizza box, your waterproof jacket, it just adds to the last dose. It builds up and up and up for your entire life. And as these chemicals pile up inside you, so does the risk. This lifelong accumulation is directly linked to things like thyroid disease, a suppressed immune system that can't fight off sickness, and a higher risk for some cancers. Have you ever seen the word fragrance on an ingredient list? Of course you have. Well, you should think of that word as a Trojan horse. It looks like one harmless ingredient, but it's actually a massive legal loophole. It allows companies to hide a cocktail of up to 3,000 different chemicals. We're talking allergens, hormone disruptors, carcinogens, all without having to list a single one. And get this, even the very structure of your home can be a problem. The flame retardants in your sofa and your mattress, they break down into a toxic dust that you're constantly breathing in. And the glues used in things like pressed wood furniture and flooring, they can release or off-gas formaldehyde into your air for years. Your house is literally poisoning the air you breathe.
So at this point, you have to be asking the big question. How? How is any of this legal? How is this allowed to happen on such a massive scale? Well, the answer isn't really about the chemicals anymore. It's about the system itself.
There's a term for it. It's called regulatory capture. Basically, it's when the watchdogs start working for the wolves. The very government agencies that were created to protect you and I become so heavily influenced by the industries they're supposed to be policing that they start serving those corporate interests instead. It's a system where industries basically get to write their own rules.
And what do you get from a system like that? You get this brutal, cynical truth. Those acceptable exposure limits aren't really about what's safe for you. They're a legal calculation. They're the dose of poison that's just slow enough that you'll never be able to definitively prove in a court of law that their product is what made you sick. It's about protecting them, not you.
So, where does all this leave you? Look, the goal here is not to make you live in fear. It's the opposite. It's about empowering you to stop being just a passive consumer and start being a critical thinker about what you allow into your home and into your life.
Because here's the most important thing to get. These chemicals aren't secrets. For the most part, they're listed right there on the label. They're just hidden in plain sight, disguised behind complicated scientific names and legal loopholes like fragrance, because they are counting on the fact that you won't know what you're looking at.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Now you know. You can't look at a receipt or a nonstick pan or an ingredient list the same way ever again. Now that you can finally see what's been there all along, what are you going to choose to do about it?